Hello, welcome to the Analyst at the Ashes with me, Simon Hughes.
And I'm Simon Mann.
Very much in the pink today were Australia, not only in their outfits, which of course is to raise money for the McGrath Foundation and cancer care for cancer patients, but also because they scored over 500 runs. So the Australians were very much in the pink all round. Actually, it's a fantastic day, isn't it, with everybody dressed in pink as well, or at least a large majority. Looks quite nice actually when you've got reasonably brown skin. I don't think I'm going to be wearing these pink shirts and so on back in England when you look all pale and horrible in March, but they sort of work okay when on a sunny day like this. A sunny day, but not for England, was it? It was a day of hard yakka and without much reward.
Someone to write a book about it, shouldn't they? A lot of hard yakka. That's what it was for England today. It was really hard work for them and proper test match cricket, and Australia are playing, or in this match, and as they did in Brisbane when they got over 500, they're playing hard-nosed test match cricket. And what you wonder, hope, is whether there are some England batters in that dressing room looking at that today and thinking, yeah, perhaps we should play like this, because you cannot play, it seems to me, fly-by-night cricket in Australia. You know, you really need to match them in that sort of ultimate determination to grind out as many as you can.
I mean, obviously they started in a good position, 166 for 2. I felt, England, if they could make early inroads, that they might be in business, but they just didn't. They couldn't get Michael Neser, the night watchman, out. He's a decent batsman. I think he's got 5 first-class hundreds, hasn't he? So he's the sort of Chris Wokes, in a way, of the Australian team. He played well. I mean, he had a few flashes and misses, but actually England, I suppose, bowled decently to him because he only got his second run of about his 40th ball, but he stayed in for 90 balls in the end, and that's just so exhausting and demoralising for a bowling attack hoping to make early innings. At the other end, Travis Head, he moved seamlessly to his 100 and passed 600 runs in the series as well, so he's been the batting star for Australia undoubtedly. I thought there was an interesting little period just after he got his 100, which was obviously royally celebrated around these parts. I think it's his first 100 at the SCG, isn't it? He hasn't had a particularly good record here generally. But when he was on about 120, Stokes was into an excellent spell. He in fact opened the bowling today and clearly was almost admitting that he is England's best bowler, and he has been fairly consistently throughout the series. 15 wickets at 20 he's got before today, so it shows he's accurate as well as successful. And there was a couple of overs he bowled to Head, around about Head's 120, so the total was getting on for 250 or so, and Head blocked almost 2 overs from Stokes, which just shows that even if you're in that dominant frame of mind and you've got 100, if a bowler is bowling well, respect that and see him off and tire him out. And obviously Head went on to make 160. Drop catch by unusually Will Jacks on the deep square leg boundary. Didn't cost England, I think it cost England about 40.
Well, I think it cost England quite a lot, to be honest. I mean, it cost them 43 runs in terms of Travis Head's innings. It's good to be on the flight path again, isn't it? Over the SCG. Underneath the flight path out of Sydney Airport. Yeah, I thought it cost them quite a lot, and not just in terms of runs, but also mental, the physical side of it as well. It was you just looked around the field, and it wasn't like Heads going down, but there was a sense of, how on earth did he drop that? We really could have done with that, just to get them going in the day's play. I think what happened was he just got distracted by the rope, didn't he? He had a quick look down, and he just took his eye off the ball fractionally, and it went down. So he was on 120 when that happened, and he made 163. So, and you think of the runs at the other end as well in the partnership, and just the extra effort you then got to put in to take the wicket of Travis Head. So actually the morning session, it had the feel of a real wheels-off day, and I've seen a few in Ashes cricket, mainly when Adam Gilchrist used to come in at number 7, and you think you're in the game, and then suddenly you're 250 runs behind on first innings, and you're flayed all over the place. It had that feel this morning because England lost all their reviews, for example. Bryden Cast reviewed that one. He kind of was, he was sort of half right, wasn't he? Because he thought he was saying it was boot first then bat against Michael Nisa, and it was. He was right because Nisa clearly played it with the bat. Of course, then he was just outside the line. It was one of those mornings, and then Crawley dropped a catch, did a difficult one to his left-hand side. That was a half chance. Jacks dropped a catch. That was a difficult one as well. Duckett missed a run-out chance. Head would have been run out. And they also scored quite freely in that morning session, and they didn't lose many wickets.
By the way, I don't think that Jack's catch was that difficult, actually.
Okay.
I mean, he only had to move a bit to his right, and he sort of
to his left. To his left. To his left. And I was on with Tuffers at the time, and Tuffers said he thought that was quite a high. It was hit really hard back, and he thought that was quite a high.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking you meant the Jack's catch at deep mid wicket. So.
Oh no, there was another Jack's drop off his own bowler.
That was a difficult one. That was quite stark. That was drilled back at him. So that makes it 16 catches, I think, that England have dropped in the series. Some are harder than others, obviously. But if only some of those had been taken, the story might have been different.
Well, I think the point is, say about the Zach Crawley one at leg slip, was that you feel Australia would have caught it, because we've seen them take at least 3 catches in the series like that. Lavishane's caught a couple. Steve Smith has caught at least one like that. I think that's the point. Australia have not just out-bowled and largely out-batted England in the series. They've also out-caught them as well. I mean, they've been pretty good in the field, and England just. There have been 1 or 2 rippers. Jacks at Brisbane, for example. Crawley at Adelaide when he caught Travis Head. But the level needs to go up. Then you need to snaffle those chances if you possibly can. You need to turn half chances into wickets. I think to compete against an Australian side with this mentality on this surface.
Yeah, particularly with an England bowling attack which is not very reliable. Yeah. Admittedly, Matt Potts was playing his first game for 5 weeks and just looked raw and out of practice initially, and unfortunately his opening spell with the new ball yesterday just wasn't very good. Went for 8, 9 and over, and he was dragging it back today but still going for boundaries. Bryden Cast bowled, as he always does, he bowled with lots of heart, but this phrase about that much control.
Bryden Cast, he always runs in, doesn't he? He always seems to run in with purpose. You never feel he's going through the motions as a bowler. And he picked up some wickets, didn't he? Ended up with 3 for England's leading wicket taker in the series. But when you looked at that attack, you thought you just fancied Australia to get a big score today on that service with their batting lineup as well. You just fancied them to do it, and it kind of what we expected, I think, at the start of the day happened. It was kind of very predictable day of Test cricket, and also Steve Smith's 100 as well. I mean, when he came in early, you just thought he's going to get 100 today. He just looks so set.
Well, we'll talk about Steve Smith maybe in the second half of this podcast, but the sum total of the day with Head's 163, Smith 129 not out, and some other contributions, everybody getting into double figures, and England's lack of consistency and accuracy with the ball means Australia 518 for 7 lead by 134. What does that mean for the Betfair odds? Well, they were sort of hovering around 70% Australia. By the end of the day, 75% Australia, 3% England, so England almost completely out of the equation, but interestingly, 22% the draw.
Wow.
So the draw has sort of come back. And I think the pitch today has done less than it did sort of yesterday when Root was battling away, having got his 100. The ball was doing a fair bit, actually, which shows how good that Joe Root innings was. Maybe it shows how good the Australian bowling was as well. Maybe their bowlers are just a bit better at hitting that line and length. And actually, on that subject, I asked perhaps the most frugal bowler in history, Glenn McGrath, who of course organised this whole Pink Day, this McGrath Foundation as well, so he was suitably dressed in pink. I asked him for his comments about England's bowlers and maybe why they don't get the accuracy needed. Line and length bowling is something England have lacked in this series. Is that, do you think, a mindset thing or is it a skill thing?
I think it's probably a bit of both. Mindset, you've got to be prepared to do it and want to do it and build the pressure. And you look at both teams, this match here, there hasn't been many maiden overs bowled. And we always said 3 maiden overs in a row, the chance of getting wicket goes up. So it's about bowling with that mindset that you want to be tight, give them nothing, not bowling wide where they just leave it all day, but just challenging the batsman, but not giving them any runs. Then it's about execution. Are they good enough to bowl ball after ball, just in that spot, being patient, getting it through? sometimes I wonder, this test match here, I've seen they might bowl 1 or 2 around that same area, then next ball completely different, So I don't know if they've got the patience, whether they're looking for wickets, whether they think, okay, I've got a couple there, it doesn't look like, I'll try something else. So the good old-fashioned test bowling, building pressure. I haven't seen any of it this test series.
And if you were working with those England bowlers, I mean, Stokes accepted, maybe Tongue accepted, some of the others, what would you do with them if you were the coach? How would you work to try and improve that?
Well, you have a look at the other bowlers in the history of the game, the guys who are classed up there with the best strike rates of all time. You look at, say, Dale Steyn, Waqar Younis, strike rate of 42. Kakisa Rabada's unbelievable. I think he's in the high 30s, which is amazing. But even that, when you look at 42, that's 1 wicket every 42 deliveries, which is once every 7 overs. So if the best of all time get a wicket every 7 overs, why do you think you can get a wicket every 2? Like, it's never been done. So, and it's about just getting the ball in that right.
So it is about mindset in a way, rather than just repetition and skills. But I suppose the two go together.
No, exactly. You look at Bryden Cass, he's gone for 4.5 runs or more and over. He's got a strike rate of 34 this series, whether he's sort of got a couple of wickets at the end to make that look better, but he's gone for lots of runs, whether he's gone for runs searching for wickets or whether that's the bowling plan, a lot of short stuff. So, you've got to look at game plan, and then if they can actually execute, and 2, if they actually want to do that as well.
At least it hasn't been 5-0.
No, I'm adaptable. I've rethought it, so I'm now going 4-1.
So the 4th day's play again is an early start, 10 a.m. local time in Sydney, 11 p.m. on TNT Sports, which of course you can get if you go to EE, Virgin Media or Sky, and also you can stream it on Discovery Plus as well, but of course you do need a subscription and you have to be at least 18 for that subscription. So the 4th day in prospect. Just a few comments on Glenn McGrath's points there. Actually, I remember myself being unable to bowl 6 good balls in an over. And was it a contrast, a combination of mindset and ability? Well, in a way, yes. Mike Brearley, my first captain at Middlesex, used to say to me, Yozza, why can't you bowl 6 good balls? You bowl 4 good balls in an over, and then you bowl 2 leg stump half volleys. Why? And I said, well, I don't think I'm good enough to bowl 6 good balls yet in an over. And he thought that was lacking in ambition and a bit self-satisfied. And maybe the guys who play county cricket now are not pushed hard enough to make sure they are absolutely on it, ball after ball after ball. And I think you do need a consistency of run-up, but consistency of focus as well. And Duke's balls in England and slightly more greener pitches and overcast conditions do flatter English bowlers, but even then, if you look at Cass, for instance, he's taking his wickets in county cricket at sort of 35, so he's not kind of someone like McGrath who took his wickets at 21 in Test cricket and gave the batsman absolutely nothing. There just isn't that mindset in English bowling, I don't think, and I was guilty of that as well, and it was only kind of in my 30s where I managed to find that focus and that real dedication to bowl consistent line and length, and by then my knees were shot to pieces.
Didn't the captain ever say, you talked about Mike Brearley there, didn't the captain ever say to you, Yoz, I actually just want you to concentrate on bowling an over on a length, and if you've done it once or twice, what is so difficult about doing it a 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th time?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I just didn't have the sort of forensic mindset to think I could do that. And actually also, to pick up on McGrath's point, sometimes I didn't want to. Sometimes I wanted to try the in-swinger after a few outswingers. And
so lacking patience, lacking a bit of patience.
Yes, which is exactly what Glenn said. And you need that almost kind of clear mind to just say, I'm just going to bang away on that length, line and length, time and time again, and ball them out. And McGrath was able to do that, of course, he was one of the greatest. And many other bowlers have been able to do that, and Australian bowlers are able to do that because the pitches and the balls give them nothing. So they have. We've said this many times before. They have no alternative. Exactly.
They've got to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd actually sometimes see Glenn chuntering out on the field, and you think, he must be having a go at the batters, but actually often he was having a go at himself, wasn't he? He was annoyed with himself.
That's true.
If he let a batter off, with an easy ball on the pads or whatever, and he'd go back chuntering. And that was his mindset. I mean, he is in many ways he's a bit of a one-off, isn't he? I mean, one of the great sort of miserly bowlers that there's ever been, and his swagger wickets tells you that. I mean, he was a wonderful, relentless bowler.
But he was a good model to follow,
Yeah.
and there's no shame in or harm in looking at how he worked and how he operated, and maybe trying to replicate that in some way. Certainly when you come out here. So England's general inaccuracy, Stokes accepted. I thought Josh Tongue actually bowled pretty well too. Meant that Steve Smith came in when the score was 234 for 3. Perfect man for a crisis. Lovely situation. Michael Neser had done his job and seen off the sort of newer, harder ball, and the ball was nicely worn. The bowlers were getting tired. Smith almost inevitably made 100. What did you think of it?
I just thought it was inevitable. I remember watching Brian Lara's 400 Antigua, and that was just ridiculous, because when he had about 70, I thought he's going to break the world record again. And I just had that feeling about Smith today. I actually did say it on air, so it's not with hindsight. It just looked like who was going to trouble him. The pitch was flat, the bowling was a bit flat, just lacked devil. If you can throw the ball to someone like Mitchell Stark or Malcolm Marshall or Waka Younis or something like that, who could do something a bit special, Shane Warne or whatever, but England don't have that level, do they, in this team? Even someone like Mark Wood, who can ruffle a
but also what you need is people doing it at both ends, don't you? And
one end would be quite good.
One end would be good.
Yeah.
But I thought Stokes, as I said, with that overall to head, Stokes was right on it all after ball. His energy and his stamina is extraordinary, actually, and his concentration, in fact as well. Tongue was pretty good. I think Tongue's been a real find of this tour. I mean, we knew about him before. He'd done well before, but he had only played about 7 tests before this tour, hadn't he? So I think he's come through as someone who's really exciting, and he's bowled well in all conditions so far on this tour and in all situations. I mean, he looked a bit tired at the end there, but I think generally he's been one to watch. But Smith just never let them. He defended as well. He relied on his defence. He trusted his defence. When the ball was good, he blocked it, and he plays with soft hands. And a few edges went down off Stokes early on. He was sort of exasperated, but it was good batting as much as it was a slightly lucky boundary. He's not the most joyful person to watch batting, is he? He's sort of all those mad mannerisms. But I think one thing he did that was interesting, and this is our Betfair exchange today, is the way he dealt with England's leg theory when they went to the short-pitched sort of mode of attack and set everybody back. Now, what did he do today? What would England do? They'd have a go at it, wouldn't they? What did Steve Smith do? He ducked out of the way. He weaved. He fell over backwards. He actually, bent over backwards to avoid playing the short ball, knowing that this was England's last resort. They were trying to tempt him into an indiscretion, and he was having none of it. So he was doing everything he could to get out of the way. I mean, occasionally he might have glided a single down there, but did he try and hook the ball over the boundary to clear the fielders? No.
And nor did he try to swat it out towards deep point or anything like that. I mean, he did play a few. There was one guided shot that fell short of deep third, but he was looking to play a touch shot rather than really going after it hard. And I think that's the point about his batting. We talked about England's bowling today, and I agree with you. Stokes did, he put everything in, and he's been probably England's most consistent performer in the series. And whenever he gets the ball in hand, you think he could make something happen. He could take a wicket. He's still got that about him. But the damage wasn't done today. It was done in that England first innings, wasn't it? When they did not get enough runs.
Wickets away.
Too many wickets just tossed away, and you have to have that hard-headed approach that Smith had today. That sense of inevitability. It was Rootian, wasn't it? Or Root's innings was Smithian in the sense that there were two high-class players who saw a pitch, thought, right, that's my pitch. I'm going to rub the hands together. I'm going to get 100 here, and that's what Root did. It's what Smith did. I mean, Travis Head's a bit different because he plays in a more exuberant way, and he might not have got 160. He did flash a bit and play and miss a bit and all that, but you talk about not necessarily being that full of joy watching Steve Smith. Travis Head's the complete opposite, isn't he? He's a wonderful player to watch. But yeah, just great examples from Smith and Root in this match of how to deal with hot day. a bowling attack that is, willing, but not perhaps of the highest quality, and a decent surface, and you can just, he made the most of it.
He did.
And also, as well, talked to his post-match press conference, he's not satisfied. He's not satisfied with what has he got, 129 not out. He's talking about, over 200 run lead. And that, and they got banked to time, Australia. They just, keep on batting and get as many, 200 lead, 250 lead, whatever.
The telling signs here, England 347 for 6 when Australia took the second new ball, all out 384, so 37 more for that last 4 wickets after the second new ball. And Australia were 324 for 4 at the second new ball, and they're now 518 for 7, so they've added nearly 200 in that time after England took the second new ball. And Smith walked off at the end absolutely covered in dirt, didn't he? I mean, he's been on all sorts of bizarre positions to try and keep his own wicket intact. He walked off covered in mud, but still not out. England walked off looking on their knees.
Yeah, and the reason he had mud all over him is because he was, at times he was tumbling backwards, wasn't he, to avoid the short ball, because he was determined to make the most of it and not to get out to some sort of frippery, some loose stroke. Interesting to see how he plays it tomorrow, because Australia can just press on and get as many as they can. And I think scoreboard pressure could come into it. It's interesting, actually, you said the draw. There's 20% draw and 3% England. I sort of long felt in this game that it wouldn't be a draw, but you can kind of see a scenario, but it would really mean England batting so well in their second innings. So are we saying that from this position there's no way England can win the game now? I mean, if Australia do get a lead of, say they get a lead of 175, 180, England, if they bat well in their second innings, can they only play for a draw? And do this England side try to play for a draw? Do they get caught betwixt and between?
I don't know what they can do. They've got to get those first. They've got to get those last 3 wickets first, haven't they? So if they get the last 3 wickets I'm just looking at the scoreboard over there, 518 for 7, another 30 runs, which is a little bit optimistic. Start still to come, of course. Then, a lead of what is that, 170, say? That is manageable, but I'm being optimistic. I think England are done.
Yeah, I think they are too. I wouldn't be that surprised to see the game end tomorrow, with the big crowd in. If they get a couple of early wickets, Australia, and the pressure builds up, scoreboard pressure, and you'd think Australia might be able to exploit perhaps some deterioration.
And the bowlers have had their feet up.
Yeah, and also those bowlers they know what they're doing as well. They're pretty relentless. And I thought you mentioned the comparisons between Australia at the second new ball and England at the second new ball. England was 6 down, Australia 4 down. Also as well, they do have a long batting lineup in this Test match. So England don't have so much batting potential in their tail, I don't think, in this game. Bryden Cast is really tailed off in this series and looks a bit vulnerable. And Potts hasn't batted for a while. Tongue at number 11. Australia, we have Bo Webster coming in at number 9 because Nisa batted as the night watchman last night. There's a lot of batting in that lower order, and Smith can trust them as well. I thought Webster played. He looked a decent player tonight, albeit against a tiring attack. Absolutely perfect for him, wasn't it, to come in that situation, as it was for Smith when he came in at 230 for 3. And you thought, well, their innings is quite well advanced, but Smith is thinking, hold on a second, look at the day, look at the crowd, look at the pitch. I'm going to tuck in here. Absolutely did. And he can keep on tucking into the middle of the afternoon if he wants to.
Can you say anything positive?
No.
No, it's realistic. It's fine.
This is the positive thing. This is the positive thing here, Yoz, and it's this. Learn from what you see. Learn from it. That's the thing. You can make mistakes, all sorts of mistakes. It's easy to stand here and talk about it and whatever. But the only way that you're going to come to Australia and win in the future is to watch how Australia go about trying to win a Test match. And if you can do that, then that is the positive you can take out of it. A massive learning experience. Also, what it must feel as well. So take away that feeling of being in the field on a day like that, when you're gradually losing control of the game and Australia are inching ahead, and think, actually, when we're batting, when we're out there, 380 is not enough, 420 is not enough, 450 is not enough. Only 800 is enough. Only 1,000 is enough. That's the mentality you need. That's the positive, Yoz.
And of course, England, all of them should be watching and listening to this podcast.
No, they must know it, surely. They must know it. I mean, what's going to be so interesting? I mean, the game could end tomorrow. What's going to happen to the hierarchy as time goes on?
People keep asking me that. And I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And I'm sure answers will prevail at some point.
So we're talking about coach, captain, director of cricket. Is the Brendan McCullum regime at an end because it's been routed here in the series of our lives?
And you see, I said to Rob Key the other day, I saw him on the sidelines there watching the Nets. I had a little chat and he said, "How have you been?" And I said, "Well, would have hoped for a slightly better performance." And I said, I feel sorry for Ben Stokes because he's put so much passion and energy and dedication into his performance, and I feel he's been let down by some players. And Key's response to that was, that's a bit harsh. I don't think it is harsh. But, I mean, maybe he had to say that. He had to defend them. Look, we'll find out in due course anyway. It's been a sad story of missed opportunities, I suppose, and also lack of ability to an extent as well. But that was an Australian team there for the taking, and they've in the end dominated, and they're probably going to win 4-1.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow anyway to see if that happens. And of course it can be seen, as I said, on TNT Sport starting 11 p.m. tonight, if you dare. You can stay up and watch it.
Well, England's batting in the second innings will be fascinating to watch. What sort of resistance do they show?
Yeah.
What have they got left in the tank after 500 plus on a hot day and battling to save the game, or who knows, get a certain amount of a lead and then perhaps try to put some pressure on Australia on a crumbling fifth day pitch. Could be the last day tomorrow of the series. We'll find out, and we'll round it all up after the day's play. Thanks very much for listening and watching. We'll speak to you soon. Goodbye for now.